Okay, real quick before I start, I just wanted to point out that there's a theory out on Reddit that actually just came out a few days ago that's pretty similar to what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Not like super similar, but pretty similar. I just wanted to point out that I did not, I repeat, did not steal anything from this or any other source for my video here. I say this because I know there's someone out there that's already down in those comments typing out that MNB stole this idea as I speak. Yeah, I see you. You know who you are. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about that Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, why don't we? Now, there are many strange things that either happen or are shown in this trailer, as I'm sure everyone is pretty familiar with by now. Besides the most notable events like, you know, the green hand, or Ganondorf's neck thing, or the rat getting wasted, there are some details in the background that we've all picked apart several times over the past year. You've got your Zonai architecture, the strange platforms that Ganondorf's body is placed on, but most importantly for this video, the luminous stones that are increasingly present the more Link and Zelda venture towards Ganondorf's location. And by increasingly present, I mean that quite literally. We're shown these glowing rocks directly in 3 different scenes. The first time there's 3, then when they've stopped by the waterside there's like 9, then when they're crossing the bridge there are like at least 12, some of which are giant compared to the others, and possibly more in the background. Now, as cool as these luminous stones look in the dark, you've got to ask yourself why Nintendo decided to tease these stones in this place and in this fashion, and why it seems like our fateful duo is heading towards some sort of huge collection of the mineral, since its numbers are increasing as we move on. But then they stumble upon Ganondorf and the hand holding him down. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. The color of the luminous material is quite strange indeed, since the ghostly hand that has its nails dug into Ganondorf's chest is colored very, very similarly. And you know what else is colored quite similarly? The ghosts or spirits of the deceased champions and the king from the first game. The luminous stones, the glowing hand, and the souls of the deceased. Could it be that these all have something in particular in common with each other that may help explain the strange placement of the luminous materials and even the hand itself as shown in the trailer? Well, I happen to believe so since I made this video and all. And yeah, I'm sure this may have already been covered by somebody at this point, but to be honest, there's so much Breath of the Wild 2 speculation out there that I've honestly resorted to just not listening to it anymore. Plus, I've never actually covered the glowing hand on this channel, so I figured it's about time you guys heard my thoughts on the matter. Also, this has been one of the longest intros I've ever scripted, so now let's dive into the luminous mysteries of Breath of the Wild 2. It occurred to me a while back while thinking about this that the inclusion of luminous material may be related to the exclusion of a classic Zelda enemy, ghosts, or spirits, or pose. Now, let me explain. We know that luminous stones glow, and we know that they glow not because of natural causes, but because of supernatural means. The in-game description describes luminous stones as glowing because they're infused with the, quote, souls of the dead. This is further supported since we see that the king and 4 champions all share this very similar luminescent glowing color in their death. And when you're talking about game design choices, color is extremely important to relay all sorts of stuff towards the players, like emotions or ideas or even affiliations. And Nintendo games are prime examples of this concept. The similarity of color here is no mistake at all. In fact, it's done for many different things throughout the game. For instance, all of the champions and even Link and Zelda have deep blue clothing or a blue sash somewhere on themselves to signify their allegiance as a champion of Hyrule. And their descendants are all connected the same way. Calamity Ganon's malice all carries the same color tones of this dark purple / glowing pinkish red. The ancient energy that the Sheikah harness for all of their inventions is all a light neon blue color. And here we are with luminous stones and literal dead people sharing the same glowing greenish blue color. So how do pose tie into all of this? Well, let's talk first about what a po is, since if Breath of the Wild was your first Zelda game, you may not know. Pos are the spirits of the deceased that are normally encountered as evil ghosts that try to, you know, kill Link. Their appearances range from game to game, like in Ocarina of Time, where they're all really short, flying people with arms and a lantern, or maybe they're just floating heads with arms and a lantern. And Wind Waker, where they're full-bodied humanoids that wear jumpsuits and masks and hold lanterns, or in Twilight Princess, where they're terrifying, with lanterns, of course. And while every Poe I just showed you is an enemy to Link, some Poes are actually nice guys. Like the Composer brothers from Ocarina of Time that, yes, you do have to fight at first, but it's revealed afterwards that they were just testing you. And they then aid Link on his quest. And by the way, I have a pretty cool theory about them that I'll link to in the description below and on the screen if you'd like to check that out. Anyway, there's also a friendly Poe that guides you through the desert sandstorm when trying to reach the Spirit Temple. Because of this variation, I tend to believe that Poes are not necessarily all evil inherently, but are simply ghosts of dead peoples. This is also supported by the fact that the Ghost Hunter is called the Ghost Hunter and not the Poe Hunter, yet he collects Poes, meaning saying Poes and ghosts is most likely synonymous. Now, using this logic, you might be able to figure out where I'm going with this. When I said earlier that Poes, the classic Zelda enemy, were missing from Breath of the Wild, I kinda sorta lied a little bit, because they are in the game, just not as enemies. This is a Poe. This is a Poe. These are also Poes. They're ghosts of the dead that even have an ethereal fire burning around them, just like the fire burning in Poe lanterns. Actually, fire signifies dead people or spirits a lot in the Zelda franchise, like after you defeat a Poe in Ocarina of Time, or the spirits flying around the ghost ship in Wind Waker, or the spirits of souls trapped in Twilight Princess. Poes are even known to possess or infuse into people or things, like when a Poe will literally possess Link in Wind Waker, or when they're infused into masks in Majora's Mask. And by the way, that kinda sheds a different light on the Happy Mask Salesman, doesn't it? I mean, if he's collecting and selling masks, and the masks are infused with Poes, that makes him pretty similar to a certain other character we know. But anyway, that's besides the point. Not only do these Poes in Breath of the Wild burn with a spiritual flame, but the champion Poes also possess the divine beasts, which is pretty typical Poe-like behavior if you ask me. But if there are Poes in the game, why do none of them show up in the fields of Hyrule as hostile towards Link, like they did in previous games? Well, what if I told you that everyone's favorite accordion-playing, traveling, singer-songwriter bird known as Cass may hold the answer? Cass is known for one thing, his songs, and his theme. That's way too catchy. But one of the songs he sings could pertain to the history surrounding luminous stones. One of his verses goes a little something like this: "But Ganon lurked beneath the surface, strengthening its jaws. So the ancient people of Hyrule set out to help the cause. Their efforts bore fruit in an automated force, to help avert Calamity Ganon by sealing it at its source." While this does at first sound like it lines up pretty well with the events of the battle 10,000 years ago, as portrayed here, with those keywords automated and force, what if there's more to it than that? What if the ancient people of Hyrule that, according to this song, helped seal Calamity Ganon at its source, keyword here being at its source, by the way, which has been revealed to us to most likely be Ganondorf's body, did so in a different way? Now look again at the glowing hand keeping Ganondorf's body at bay. At this point, the glowing blue-green color should be all too familiar, especially when they teased the also glowing blue-green luminous stones in the very same trailer. Multiple times. What if the Poes of the ancient Hylians are the souls of the dead that make luminous stones glow like that? But the majority of them are right here, underground, manifesting as this glowing hand, trying to keep Calamity Ganon sealed at its source. How they're doing this, I'm not entirely sure, but it may have something to do with the strange bracelets present all over the hand, or even the words spiraling out of it. And since there does seem to be an outward spiral of the blue-green essence seemingly dispersing away from the hand, what if we can find luminous stones within the rocks of Hyrule because the power of the Poes is slowly being dwindled away and dispersing into the ground around it, weakening as the thousands of years have passed? It's kind of poetic that the spirit of Hyrule itself has been keeping Calamity Ganon at bay all these years. And perhaps that's even why there wasn't a hero for 10,000 years. It all comes back to the Poes of Hyrule. And that is my theory on the Poes and the hand and the luminous rocks and the dead champions. Man, I was kind of all over the place in this one, wasn't I? While I was pretty speculative towards the end there, what do you think? Is the strange luminous stone appearance in the trailer deliberate? Is the glowing hand somehow the amalgamation of the Poes of Hyrule, or something way different? Let me know in a comment below. Hey you! You there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, huge thanks goes out to my fantastic supporters, of which I have a new member. Say hello to the Zelda Connection, who recently joined the ranks of my elite supporters right here on YouTube. Which, by the way, if you watching are interested in getting your name up here at the end of each video and some fantastic perks, you can do so without even leaving YouTube by clicking the join button below this video or by following the links in the description also down there. And also down there are links to my pages on the various social media websites I am on. So come on over and say hi on my Twitter. Before I wrap this up, I wanted to show off some awesome fan art that I received recently. Check out these really neat pieces from Rinny and Mac Mycelium in my Discord server. I mean, how could I not show these off, right? They are so cool. Anyway, this is MaskedNintendoBandit signing out. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace!